What should you do when driving or riding along a motorway? Look much further ahead than you would on other roads. You are on a motorway and there are red flashing lights above every lane. What must you do? Stop and wait. What's the national speed on motorways for cars and motorcycles? 70 miles per hour. When may you stop on the hard shoulder of a motorway? In an emergency. Unless signs show otherwise, what's the national speed limit for a car or motorcycle on a motorway? 70 miles per hour. On a motorway, what's an emergency refuge area used for? In cases of emergency or breakdown. You are driving on a motorway. The car in front shows its hazard warning lights for a short time. What does this tell you? Traffic ahead is slowing or stopping suddenly. You break down on a motorway. You need to call for help. Why may it be better to use an emergency roadside telephone rather than a mobile phone? It allows easy location by the emergency services. Your vehicle breaks down on the hard shoulder of a motorway. You need to use your mobile phone to call for help. What should you do? Check your location from the marker post on the left. You are traveling in a left-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway. How should you react to traffic joining from a slip road? Move to another lane. You are driving on a motorway and have to slow down quickly due to a hazard ahead. How can you warn behind of the hazard? Switch on your hazard warning lights. How should you use the emergency telephone on a motorway? Face the oncoming traffic. You are approaching roadworks on a motorway. What should you do? Obey all speed limits. You are towing a trailer along a 3-lane motorway. When may you use the right-hand lane? When there are lane closures. Why is it particularly important to carry out a check on your vehicle before making a long motorway journey? Continuous high speeds increase the risk of your vehicle breaking down. When may you stop on a motorway? In an emergency or breakdown. You are using a smart motorway. What happens when it's operating? You must obey the speed limits shown. Your car gets a puncture while you are driving on the motorway. You get it onto the hard shoulder. What should you do? Use an emergency telephone and call for help. You are joining a motorway. Why is it important to make full use of the slip road? To build up a speed similar to traffic on the motorway. You are traveling along a motorway. When are you allowed to overtake on the left? When in queues and traffic to your right is moving more slowly than you are. On which part of a motorway are amber reflective struts found? Between the central reservation and the carriageway. You have had a breakdown on the hard shoulder of a motorway. When the problem has been fixed, how should you rejoin the main carriageway? Gain speed on the hard shoulder before moving out onto the carriageway. What should you do when you are joining a motorway? Give way to the traffic already on the motorway. What's used to reduce traffic bunching on a motorway? Variable speed limits. You are on a motorway. What color are the reflective struts on the left of the carriageway? Red. What basic rule applies when you are using a motorway? Keep to the left-hand lane unless overtaking. You are towing a trailer on a motorway. What's the speed limit for a car towing a trailer on this road? 60 miles per hour. What's the aim of a smart motorway? To reduce congestion. You are on a motorway. There's a contraflow system ahead. What would you expect to find? Lower speed limits. What's a right-hand lane used for on a 3-lane motorway? Overtaking. Your vehicle has broken down on a motorway. You aren't able to stop on the hard shoulder. What should you do? Switch on your hazard warning lights. What should you do immediately after joining a motorway? Keep in the left-hand lane. Why can it be an advantage for traffic speed to stay constant over a longer distance? Your overall journey time will normally improve. When are you allowed to stop on a motorway? When you are signaled to do so by flashing red lights. You are driving on a motorway. Well before you reach your intended exit, where should you position your vehicle? In the left-hand lane. What color are the reflective studs between a motorway and its slip road? Green. Which vehicle should use the left-hand lane on a 3-lane motorway? Any vehicle. On a 3-lane motorway, which lane should you normally use? Left. You are driving on a motorway. By mistake, you go past the exit that you wanted to take. What should you do? Carry on to the next exit. You are traveling along a motorway and feel tired. Where should you stop to rest? At the nearest service area. Which of these isn't allowed to travel in the right-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway? A vehicle towing a trailer. Traffic officers operate on motorways and some primary routes in England. What are they authorized to do? Stop and direct anyone on a motorway. You have broken down on a motorway. In which direction should you walk to find the nearest emergency telephone? In the direction shown on the marker post. You shouldn't normally travel on the hard shoulder of a motorway. When can you use it? When signs direct you to. What should the left-hand lane of a motorway be used for? Normal driving. What should you use the hard shoulder of a motorway? Stopping in an emergency. What should you do when going through a contraflow system on a motorway? Keep a good distance from the vehicle ahead. You are on a 3-lane motorway. There are red reflective studs on your left and white ones on your right. Which lane are you in? In the left-hand lane. On a 3-lane motorway, what does this sign mean? Use all the lanes, including the hard shoulder. You are on a smart motorway. A mandatory speed limit is displayed above the hard shoulder. What does this mean? The hard shoulder can be used as a running lane. You are in a right-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway. What do these overhead signs mean? Move to the left and reduce your speed to 50 miles per hour. You are on a 3-lane motorway. A red cross is showing above the hard shoulder and mandatory speed limits above all other lanes. What does this mean? The hard shoulder is for emergency or breakdown use. What do these motorway signs show? They are countdown markers to the next exit. You are traveling along a motorway. Where would you find crawler or climbing lane? On a steep gradient. What color are the reflective studs between the lanes on a motorway? White. You are on a motorway. A red cross is displayed above the hard shoulder. What does this mean? You shouldn't travel in this lane.